Hello everybody, how are you? So guys, you can hear me, right? You can hear me, guys? Okay, so this is will be our last lecture class, Behavioral Economics. So what we're going to discuss in this lecture class? So we want to turn from new classical economics to behavioral economics. Where new classical economics, where we just now where we studied in previous lectures, assumes fully rational maximizing behavior. Means that companies, consumers, peoples, when they make decisions, their decisions are rational, or in a way that the decision they make will maximize their utility. But behavioral economics is a study of economic decision making that depart from the full rationality. So the question now is, should we abandon the new classical economics and we study the behavioral economics? Actually, behavioral economics, especially in these years, uh, uh, 10 years ago, most of economists, they are focusing more on behavioral economics. And 2 years ago, the Nobel Prize of Economics holder, he did something about behavioral economics. Actually, he's a behavioral economist. So the new classical model have provided adequate predictions of behavior. And as we know that, even though we studied so many models in economics, we study about supply and demand, we study about factor market, we study about wages, labor. So all those models are not actually perfect. Of course, they have some limitations. There is no one perfect. And always there is room for those models to be improved. So the new classical models, with the assumption of the rational behavior, provide a benchmark to which actual decision tend toward. What actually the decision we should follow based on that new classical model prediction. So when you study, for example, the impact of FDI on GDP, you are predicting what is the impact. And from that prediction, you put a benchmark and you put the policies forward, or your policy design. So a predictor of the long run behavior by an experienced agent, usually there where the behavior economics work, or even the new classical, because usually we tend to predict the long run much better or worse from the short run. And the rational behavior provides a standard to which we can compare the actual behavior. So when we study economics, let it be new classical economics or behavior economics, if we determine the predictors for the rational behavior, therefore we may have standards, benchmark, that help us to compare different behavior of consumers. If you understand consumers' behavior, then it is very easy for you as a manager to actually make a decision. Whatever your decision for the marketing, for the production, for purchasing, for selling. So when you understand the behavior of your customer, it is very easy for you to make a decision. So I can elaborate in these three things. First elaboration is in the new classical models, whether applied to consumer firms or football players, actually will provide an adequate prediction of that behavior, which is better than if we don't have a model at all. But of course, these models could always tend to be improved by the addition of realistic psychological element. Means that we study the psychology of those players, managers, consumers, stakeholders, how they behave. Also, as these models are improved and integrated in the standard one, the standard model will continue to have a higher value because you improve it, and those limitations, when are improved, will give you a better understanding of the model, and the model will give you a better prediction, of course. The second thing here, idealized national behavior may provide a benchmark toward which actual decision tend as the decision maker experiment over time with different decisions and learn more about the economic environment. So the more experiments you have done or you do, the better understanding and the better prediction will be. So the neoclassical model also may fare poorly as the predictor of instinctive decision made in unfamiliar surrounding, but also may perform better as a predictor of a long-run behavior by experienced agent. For example, market forces may put some disciplines on mistakes made by firms, and those that make too many mistakes or are run by managers suffering from severe biases may go out of business after a while because of that too much mistakes. Right? But however, it is a question for empirical say which actually model, neoclassical or behavior perform better over time. So here we come to the third point, which is the rational behavior. So even if actual behavior falls short of the ideal in the long run, still the ideal of the fully rational behavior can provide a standard against which we can compare actual behavior. And also it is hard to speak for bias unless one has a standard of comparison. So even the behavior economics actually is not that really good in the long run compared to neoclassical, but it's still a better predictor or provider for rational decisions. Also, the neoclassical model provides considerable discipline in modeling economic situation, just as a test question may have a million wrong answer, but just one right one. So there are maybe a million possible biases, but just one way to act rationally. And this is where the neoclassical model will give you that prediction. So rather than looking for a deep explanation for a particular behavior, the tendency may be to attitude the behavior to a bias that fit a particular circumstances, but not be generalized beyond. So what are the limits decision making? There are actually three general areas that limit human ability to make payoff maximizing decision. The first, limited cognitive ability. Second, limited willpower or self-control problem. And the third, limited self-interest or people care about others and issued other than income and consumption. So for the first limit, relate to the complex decision or decision that requires some calculation, for example. This is the cognitive ability of human being. So remember that decision involving uncertainty. Why? For example, decision requires a person to be able to work with probabilities and expected values. Decisions about investment may require you to, for example, understand complex formula that require calculation and therefore make the right decision based on that formulas. A real person also may make mistakes in performing complex calculation or may avoid actually those complex calculation entirely and just rely on his wisdom or guess or knowledge. So now the question, whether we study the resulting decision tend to be right on average or involving only infrequent and random mistakes, or whether the decisions are consistently biased in certain directions. The second question we will ask, will self-aware people realize their potential for mistakes and take steps to reduce the problem? And will the market forces tend to amplify or reduce the consequences? So when we go to second, the limit to the willpower, and these limits are important for a dynamic decision. For example, decision involving some sort of timing elements where action taken up front may have a longer term implication. An example of that, maybe at your beginning of the week, you as a student, you may plan for how much you are going to study for the test that you are going to have in May, for example, this Microeconomics 2. So when the time comes, the luxury time, the willing of spending that luxury time, for example, watching television or playing a video game, going to swimming pool, may be very strong. So therefore, you as a student, you may abandon the plan of the study or deviate a little bit from it. So after, when the exam comes, because you already deviated, you didn't follow the plan, you may regret for not having studied it. You say, oh, you see, if I didn't watch this video game or I didn't watch the TV and studied, I may get a better mark. So that's what we call self-control problem. This self-control problem may rise in many contexts, including, for example, you want to have diet, so you need to exercise. You want to stop smoking. You want to save money. So if you want to have a diet, maybe you are very, your lust for McDonald's. So you go and eat this junk food or fast food. So the target or the goal of the diet already gone. Saving, you want to save, but the willingness to spend money, to enjoy buying luxury watches, whatever, sports shoes, may stop you from the window. So we are going to present one model of self-control problem in which people weigh their well-being more than they are living in the moment, then when they were planning ahead for it. Later, we will see that. The third one, the limit to human or self-interest. So human may not just care about their own payoff, income, or consumption. Also, they may care about others as well. You as a student, you may care about your colleague or about your friend. You may share with him your money, your interests. Certainly, this is not a completely, what we say, a foreign concept for standard economics to handle, because economists have long been modeling and studying this behavior. For example, sacrifices that a parent may take or may make for a child or other family member, or act of charity. So this is simple form of altruism, which is fairly easy to capture in standard model. We have also people or other well-being of people may be just another good that a consumer can purchase along with hamburgers, television, etc. There are more complex interpersonal values, that may be difficult for a standard model to capture, and here where the behavioral economics comes to study. So people may care not just about the income or consumption level that they and others end up with, but they may get direct utility from a broader social goal such as fairness and justice. So whether you want to be kind or nasty to someone else also may not be predetermined, but may depend on whether those people, they were kind or nasty to you also previously. So we are going to also integrate all these interpersonal values into the model for this behavior economics. So we start with this limited cognitive power. So limited cognitive ability, how well are we able to make a complex decision? So any of the following factors actually could make decision more complicated. Decision may involve complicated formula. We as a human being, if I give you now very complicated formula, you may fed up and I say, okay, I don't want to solve it. If I use a computer, a very strong computer or software, he can do it. Decisions are made under uncertainty. If you don't know, if you are uncertain about your decision, about what is going to happen in the future, you want to buy a car, but you are uncertain that maybe government next year will reduce or will eliminate double taxes for cars in Malaysia. So if you buy now, next year your car already slashed by half. So that one, when you have an uncertainty or when you're making decision and the uncertainty. And decision involve too many choices. When you have too many choices, just now, I will relate for you. I went outside for Speedmart to buy some stuff for home, for kitchen. So I want to buy one product and I come to that scenario where I found more than 15 brands. So that makes my decision very difficult and complex. So sometimes economists, they say that many choices is better. Psychologists, they say, or they see it the opposite. Later we will see it. So decision involve multiple steps of reasoning. And here, I'm not sure if you study in Microeconomics 1 about this sequence decision. For example, I am a company and there's other companies or another company my competitive. My decision be based on his decision. Either I'm follower or I'm the leader. Let's say I make decision A, he follow decision B. Based on his decision B, I make decision C. So it's multiple step of reasoning. So let's go for the first one, cognitive power. So there is this example. A queen wants to reward a hero for slaying a dragon. The queen offers him two choices. The first choices, 100,000 per day for a month. Okay, that's the first. She will give him 100,000 every day for 1 month. We assume that is 1 month, 30 days, or 31 days, sorry, 31 days. Okay, so second choice, it will give him 1 cent for the first day. Every day will double. Second day, 2 cents. Third day, 4 cents. Then after 8, 16, 32, 64, and continue. For 1 month also, for 31 days. So let's say the queen asks you to choose. Which would one you choose? So if you choose the first choice, then you are going to get 100,000 times 31 days, and you will get 3.1 million. But because your knowledge of mathematics or formula, maybe it is very less, you do not know about the exponential growth progress or process. If you don't know about that, automatically you choose the first. You will say, hey, first day 1 cent, then 2 cents, then 4, then 8. Within 1 month, maybe I will just collect 100 ringgit or 200 ringgit. But actually, you are wrong. If we do that, so means that we are having sorry, just 1 second. 30. The 31 minus 1, because minus 1 it was 1. So that one we remove it. So 21, I hope I'm not mistaken in the, that means in the second day become 2 cents. 31. First day is 1 cent. So when we put the exponential power, 1 over it is give us only 1. So we go for the second day. So 31 minus 1, so 30. So that I put 30 here, right? So 2 power 30, how much? 2 power 30 divided by 100 because cent. So it gives around 5.36 million. If you don't know, you calculate first day 1, then 2, then 4, then 8, then 16, 32, this, keep times 2 times 2 times 2. When you reach day 31, you will get something like, let me see, I just now, I did 5.36878,912, the last day. That is only the last day, remember? So 5.36878,912 is for the last day only, but you are going to add day 30 is 2.68 million. The day before is 1.3. The day before is 671,000. The day before is 335,000. The day before is 167,000. The day before is 8,000, 4,000. 83,000, 41,000, 20,000. Then so this is all you summon. If you summon this all, you will get here around 10 million or over 10 million. So you see, because of this cognitive power limitation, so the decision will be wrong. You would think that, oh, better I take 100,000 per day for 1 month. How can I will just take 1 cent and it will be double every day? Because of the limitation of this cognitive power or knowledge, how much you are wasting almost 7 million that you did not consider. And this is if you are a manager and you have scenario like that and you made a mistake like that, the the board of directors will fire you. Actually, it's happened. It's happened in one company, ceiling company in Norway, where the manager had in the discounted amount, he did not count the discounted or the value of money in the future. So borrow money to have a project. On his calculation, he made 1 million or 2 million profit. But when you discount the money, actually he lose, I think, 1 million. So when he go and presented the idea to the board of directors, immediately fire him because he did not understand a basic concept. His cognitive knowledge is very limited. So a second one, student is trying to decide which of the two alternative summer jobs. She can work as a house painter and earn 2,000 at the end of the summer, and there is no uncertainty about the income from this. That means 2,000, she can get it. Okay. Another job is working as a tea maker. Tina thinks there is a 50% chance that she will earn 5,000 and 50% chance that she will earn 1,000. Which job she prefers? So in that case, we talk about the expected wealth. So expected wealth is the money value of what a person expects to earn at a given point of time. Last week, we already calculated, if you remember, also, when we calculated, we have good time, bad time, and how much the revenue to pay the repair person. So we have 50%, 50%, the same concept. So an expectation is an average calculated by using a formula that weighs each possible outcome with a probability or a chance that it will occur. So in our case, for Tina, the probability that she will earn 5,000 is 0.5, because we say either she will earn 5,000 or 1,000. So she has 50% chance to earn 5,000, 50% chance to earn 1,000. So both of them she has 0.5. So her expected wealth is 5,000 times 0.5 plus 1,000 times 0.5 and equal 3,000 for the second alternative. So if she work as, or she choose the first job, she work as a house painter, she can earn only 2,000. If she work as a tea maker, she, in average, based on that calculation, she will get 3,000. So the expected wealth is 2,000 for the first alternative, and expected wealth for the second alternative is 3,000. So what is decision make here now? I think, what is Tina expected wealth from the telemarketing job? Tina can now compare the expected wealth from the two jobs. 2,000 from the no-risky painting job, 3,000 for risky job. So will Tina take the risky job? It will depend on how much Tina dislikes risk. So if Tina likes to take risk, she will take the second, because I tell you why. That is average. She may really take only 1,000. She may have chance come all of the chances in 1,000. The chances come all of them in 5,000. So she can make 1,000, she can make 5,000, but in average, the expected is around 3,000. So how she's going to decide? If she is risk taker, she will take the second one, the risk, 3,000. But she may get 1,000. She may get 5,000. If she is not risk taker, she will take the first choice, and she is sure that she will take 2,000. So now, in order to talk about this decision, We talk about risk aversion. You hear about it. Risk aversion is the dislike of risk. How much you dislike of taking risk. We measure a person's attitude toward risk by using the utility of wealth curve. So the greater wealth brings a greater total utility, but the marginal utility of wealth diminishes as the wealth increases. Let's see how this. For example, we have this utility of wealth, and this shows Tina's utility of wealth. So if Tina wealth is 2,000, her utility of wealth is 70. But if Tina take the second choice, 3,000, right? How much the utility? 83. Why? I tell you why. Because she can take 50% from 1,000. 45. Correct? 45. Then, if she take 5, the utility around 90 or something like that, or 100, I'm not sure. But we say that the average for the second between 5,000 times 50% plus 1,000 times 50%, we will get at 3,000. At 3,000, how much the utility? 83. So the pain from 1,000 loss, if Tina actually did not get the average 3,000, so get 1,000. What does it mean? She lose 1,000 from the certain one, the one does not take risk. How much? If she lose from 2,000 to 1,000, she lose utility from 83 to, 2,000, from 70 to 45. That means 25. But if she got 3, that means she got 1,000 from extra from the certain one. So how much? Got 1,000 in wealth, but how much utility? Increase from 70 to 83, that means 13 only. So we can say that the pain from 1,000 loss, which is minus 25 units of utility, actually exceed the pleasure or the gain from 1,000 gain, which is give us or give Tina only 13 units of utility. So in that case here, Tina will be very worried if she's going to lose 1,000. Means that if she choose the risky one or the uncertain one, but instead to get 3 or to get 5, she got only 1. So she lose 1,000. By losing 1,000, she is losing 25 utility of wealth. By gaining only 1,000, she is gaining only 13 unit of utility. So the pain from the loss is greater than the pleasure from the gain. So the Tina total utility, as we say, increases when her wealth increase. You can see the wealth increase, the wealth increase, the utility increase. But the marginal utility of wealth diminishes. Of course, because each addition of 1,000 of wealth brings successively smaller increment. For example, moving from 1 to 2, we say increasing by 25, from 25 to 70. Then moving from 2 to 3, increase only by from 70 to 83 by 13. Moving from 3 to 4, maybe increasing by 7 only, from 83 to 90. Moving from 4 to 5, increasing only maybe from 90 to 95 by 5. So the more wealth increase, the less utility will increase. Increase, but in a decreasing rate. That means we say marginal utility of wealth diminishes until it becomes zero. Each additional 1,000 of wealth brings successively a smaller increment in the total utility. So because of diminishing marginal utility, for a loss of wealth or a gain of wealth of equal size, Tina's pain from the loss exceeds her pleasure from the gain, as just now we say. If lost 1,000, she will lose 25 units of utility. If she gain 1,000, she will gain only 13 units of utility. So in the decision, so she may take her decision based on expected utility. When there is uncertainty, people do not know the actual utility they will get from taking a particular action, but they will know the utility they expect to get. So expected utility is the utility value of what a person expects to earn at a given point in time. So this figure also will show how Tina calculates her expected utility. So remember, Tina has 50% chance of having 5,000 of wealth and a total utility of 95. I show, for example, right? And also she has a 50% chance of having 1,000 and it has a total utility of 45. So in order now to calculate the utility, we will bring this line. So we draw this line, and this will be the line of utility of the average. So once the average wealth is 3,000, so we put it here. In uncertainty will give us 70. So the expected average utility will be 70. Remember that 70 exactly it is the same as when Tina take the first option of job as a painter and she get only 2,000 of wealth and her utility will be 70 without uncertainty, without risk. So here Tina also, better she will decide to take the second option with uncertainty. The average will be 7. The average will be 3,000, and the utility will be, or the expected average utility will be 70. So Tina expected wealth is 3,000 and her expected utility is 70 units. With 3,000 wealth and no uncertainty, utility is 83. So if 3,000, but there is no uncertainty, she will got 83, which is very good. But the problem, we have uncertainty, right? So for a given expected wealth, the greater the range of the uncertainty, the smaller is the expected utility. So this is how now Tina choose 83 here, utility of 3,000 with no uncertainty, 70 expected average utility with uncertainty, and this is here 50% chance of this outcome, and here the expected average wealth, and here is this 45 utility and 50% chance of this outcome. So making a choice with uncertainty, faced with uncertainty, a person chooses the action that maximizes expected utility but not the wealth. To select the job that gives her the maximum expected utility, Tina must calculate first. One is the expected utility from the risky telemarketing job, the expected utility from the sales painting job, and the third, compare the two expected utilities. So what decision now she will make? In this figure shows that the choice and the uncertainty in a telemarketing job, there is a 50% chance that Tina will make 5,000 and 50% that Tina will make 1,000 only. So her expected worth will be 3,000 and her expected utility will be 70. Just now we explained it. Okay, that's it. So therefore we say that Tina would have the same 70 unit utility with wealth of 2,000 and no risk. So Tina cost of bearing this risk is 1,000. If she want to get this 70 utility without risk, she is bearing the cost of 1,000 that she can get as wealth. So she need to decide. If she take 3, but she take the second option, she may not get 3, but she may get only 1,000. In this case, she will lose a lot of money. So Tina is indifferent between the job that pays 2,000 with no risk and the job that offers an equal chance of 5,000 and 1,000. And now, as we say, which one she will take depend on her risk adverse. If she is risk taker, she will take the second. If she is not risk taker, she will take the first. This will take us to understand another concept in the economic behavior. We call it framing concept. Remember that very well. Framing concept. Kahneman and Versky, actually these two guys, experiment revealed that subject decision can be affected simply by restating the same choice in 2 different ways. So when a choice was expressed as gain to a small initial endowment, people tended to make indifferent decisions than when the same choice was expressed as a loss from a larger initial endowment. What does it mean? This phenomenon that small changes in the wording of choices can affect decision, labeled a framing effect, that's what we call a framing effect, has been found by psychologists and behavioral economists to apply very generally to many different areas of human decision making, like is preferred, that labeled 20% is fat. So they will not put for you 20% fat. Right? Because you will say, oh my God, too much. So they put 80% lean. So they always put the positive thing than the negative. For example, they will put for you 80% protein or vitamin. They will hide 20% of fat. Because if they put that, for example, contain 20% of fat and they don't put it contain 80% of vitamin, you will scare, oh, I may get diabetes. So I will better don't buy. So basketball players who make 50% of their shots are judged to be better than those missing 84. So patient may opt for surgery with 95 survival rate while avoiding a procedure of 5% chance of death. You want to go for surgery. If the doctor there, you will say, hey, there is 5% of death. You will say, no, I don't want to do it. But if you tell you, actually it's same. There is 95% chance of success. You will do it. So it's play with your mental perception. So this is the framing concept. So overall, it appears that framing a choice around a positive attribute tend to be or to bias people toward preferring that choice. So the existence of framing effect poses a problem in economics because the theory tends to focus on a real outcome and does not have much to say about wording. So here is certainly an area where psychology can contribute to the economy. So economists need to better understand such questions as when framing effects are strongest, whether people can be trained through experience to see through framing, and how framing effect can best be integrated into standard economic models. Framing effect used a lot in the marketing, a lot in the marketing, because actually marketers always, they try to play with words, they try to play with your mind to put a positive picture of the product and hide the negative picture. So we go back to the limited cognitive power paradox of choice. So it is better to have more choices or less choices. Just now I give you an example when I went to the speed mart just now. So in economic or the economists, they say more is better, as people can ignore choice he does not like. So this I don't like, this I don't like. So I still have, well, we say choices. Some additional choices may end up being preferred. So I have 20 choices, I don't like 10, then I will choose from 10. Psychologists, they say, if people are comforted with too many choices, they may simply shut down and not take any decision. This is called paradox of choice. Actually, it happened to me many times, honestly. When I go and buy, especially something expensive, and I want to make a right decision because something expensive, right? Many times I ended up, I don't buy. I postpone my purchase for another 1 or 2 weeks until I do a research, because there are so many choices, which one I'm going to use. So we have this experiment. We have jars of gems. This experiment, they bring people and they give them 6 jars of gems. Another group, they give them, what he said, 24 jars. Okay. Consumers were more likely to be or to buy gems in the first setting when you have only 6. Very easy. And those who put them where we have 24 jars, most of them they didn't buy because they confused which one to use. So as a conclusion, consumers enjoy the shopping experience less and buy less when too many choices are offered. So that I really come to that all along this theory, because as I say, it's happened to me many times, many times. So this is a solution where, for example, to reduce the choices. So instead to put that 6 jar of jam, better you separate them. Sugar-free, sugar. If sugar-free, you have 3 or 4 grapes, 2 orange, 1 raspberry. So if I want to buy orange, I prefer, for example, only grape. So I will just go and choose the grape. Or sugar, you divide them as grape, orange, and raspberry. Again, put them as organic, non-organic. Organic, no organic. So in that case, you are actually dividing that brands or that choices. So first, with overwhelming number of choices among jams in experiment, the shopper can consider classifying jams by various properties setting in subcategories that in this example have at most 5 choices. 1, 2, 3, actually more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is another way how to do. So the paradox of choice, why more is less, or why more is less, is a 2004 book by American psychologist. We call it Barry Schwartz. In the book, Schwartz argues that eliminating consumer choices can greatly reduce anxiety for shoppers, but not all the time. Sometimes I want to buy something because there is not so many choices, also I don't buy. Because what there is there does not meet my expectation or my preferences. So you can see on that link, you can read. Example, if only want to buy a pair of regular jeans, The promoter asks you, for example, which type of gin you want: high, low cut, flexi, fit, easy, acid, washed. It may really confuse the consumer, and consumer may have to spend more time and energy to try differentiate between all these types. So he may postpone his purchase. So the final item is the difficulty in thinking through many steps of reasoning involve some of complicated problems. So this issue often comes up in games and other strategy situations. For example, take the game of chess. If the chess were played by two supercomputers with limitless calculation power, it would not be that really much fun because computers have superpower, then they keep playing maybe forever. Both would be able to think through all the possibilities and determine that the first move would win, the second move would win, or the game would end up in a tie. So, of course, such limitless supercomputers do not exist, and chess is complicated enough that our existing computers have not yet been able to solve it, to find out how it should always play out. Chess is fun precisely because our cognitive limitation do not allow us to think through all the way to the end. So what makes chess very interesting? Because our cognitive is limited. So that always makes it for us fun. So we cannot find solution for all the unlimited choices or chances or solutions. In a game theory, the ability of players to think through all along chains of reasoning was important when we came to sequential games, as I say, when the player who act first in such game need to anticipate how later move would respond to another player or another action. So you are a manager, you do strategy A, then you are expecting a firm Y, do strategy B. Based on strategy B, you move to strategy C. So based on strategy C, another player will move to strategy D. So our assumption is that players are perfectly able to think through how the game will play out. So everyone expects everyone else to play rational whenever gives the chance to move. For a simple game in which only two sequential decisions are made and each only involve two actions, the cognitive ability of player would not be stained by thinking through the game. Most people would be able to figure the correct decision because there are two players, only two sequential games. I play now, another player will play another play. So it's very easy, but it becomes very complicated. Let's say you have 100 players, you have 100 strategies, or 100 moves. That is very complicated. More complicated games like chess obviously would strain cognition. Therefore, you as a manager with limited abilities or your limited cognition abilities, when you have 100 market of 100 players with many possibilities or strategies, you cannot handle that. So limit to rationality also occurs when people face decision with a short-term cost but will have a long-term payoff. An example, you as a student, decision to study in university. Studying requires a lot of effort, money, luxury. Now you are listening to my lecture, maybe you can make money. You can watch TV, enjoy badminton with your friend. So that decision has required a lot of effort. Watching TV, playing sports, socializing with your friend is more enjoyable. But studying also provides the long run reward. And of course, will increase your knowledge and increase your wealth. After you get your degree, at least your salary will be 3,000 to 5,000 to 6,000 to 9,000, depend. So the rational Rational people will weigh between the long-run benefit of study and the short-run cost of study, and therefore choose to study. However, sometimes the pleasure of leisure activities will lure the student away because you really like to enjoy, you will not study. The student end up studying less than what they plan to, thus sometimes willpower fail one way deviate from the plan. Remember, sometimes we have some outliers. Some people, they stop schooling, but they become billionaires or millionaires. So you have to do cost benefit analysis. Again, limited willpower also will affect other spheres of life as well. Any decision will with long-term consequences. Example, the decision to diet and exercise. People may intend to maintain a healthy diet and regular exercise routine as these have a long-term health benefit. But sometimes lure from unhealthy food like McDonald's, junk food, and laziness, you feel lazy to go to the gym, may come in and the willpower will begin. Again, saving versus pleasure of consumption. Drug, alcohol, cigarette, addicted. You want to stop or you continue with that pleasure of addicted to cigarettes, alcohol, drug. So that another limited willpower. So how can we solve the problem of limited willpower? First, with commitment strategies. A strategy that will either raise the cost of the bad action or reduce the cost of the good action. For example, studying, get rid of your computer games, television, phone, games, and concentrate on your study. Diet, throw out bad food, junk food, McDonald's, and subscribe to the gym. Saving, automatic withdrawal from paycheck, or you put, for example, automatic send, what do we say, transferring money to another account. That account you cannot draw, like EPF. You cannot draw, no, only after 60 years. In a basic neoclassical model, decision makers perfectly maximize their own payoff. For example, can one only care about his own material well-being? People also care about personal values such as prestige, fairness, justice. For example, people care about how they are perceived by others. That's why you may spend a lot on your clothing, making up, ladies' makeup, hairstyle. People also are willing to sacrifice some of their own money to do charities, to donate to the poor people. So we come to the last policy implication. In behavioral economics is another source of market failure because we have limit to cognitive ability and willpower may lead to participants to make wrong decision in the market. Some firms may understand the consumer biases and may try to exploit these biases for their profit. Thus, there is a possible role for government. Sometimes you really, as a manager, understand the weaknesses of consumers and you will invest there. You will use that one. So here government need to come and intervene. Decision to save. Limit to cognitive ability. For example, calculation of interest rate for investment in instrument are too complicated. May lead people to save too little. Limit to willpower, lure people to spend more. So possibility solution, forced saving by government. For example, government in Malaysia force employees to save in EPF. 11% from the employees, from the employer, 18% for, up to 18% for employer. So employees and employer, both of them. So total around 25 to 30% of per month of the salary should be go to EPF. So decision to borrow, limit to cognitive ability may lead them to borrow too much. Or limit to willpower may lure people to spend more, maybe via credit cards. Then after they will be debtless, or sorry, a lot of debt. The possible solution, cap the number of credit cards or control the interest rate. Another example, consumers have too many choices. Possible solution, restrict stores offering or perhaps tax overall shelf space. But again, sometimes when you limit too much, the choices will come to a negative side where people don't buy because there is not so much choices. Or people overheat. Possible solution, people overeat. Possible solution, government could tax bad food or junk food, McDonald's, or high calorie or high fat food. Why? Because those junk food actually they cause obesity, blood pressure, diabetic, and it will be a cost for government in two ways. Direct cost because they have to enter hospitals, so it is a cost. Indirect cost, they are unhealthy and they will be less productive. So restrict alcohol and tobacco use, or what government doing now, increasing the taxes for tobacco on alcohol. Some also new classical economists counted that participants have the incentive and information to make the right decision for themselves. So according to that, people don't make systematic mistakes and government intervention unlikely to solve the problem. But actually, this is one of the limitations of the neoclassical model, because not all the time our decision is rational. Most of the time it is irrational. And we have seen that when we talk about the social cost and social benefit. So people may make mistakes, but they learn to make better decisions with experiencing or may seek advice from friends and professionals. So at the end, we can say the mental accounting, Wilkinson and Cleese, an introduction to behavioral economics, second edition in chapter 6. We have these references. So mental accounting, the set of cognitive operations used by an individual or an household to code, categorize, and evaluate financial activities. For example, for gamblers at casinos, they tend to keep winning in a different pocket to distinguish from their own money. Also, they will be more inclined to gamble with this money, which is less risk averse, than the original money. This is what we call house money effect. And also they use subprime crisis. So how a house price more than doubled from 2000 to 2006, creating a large gain in wealth for many people. This had caused increased spending and investment in housing as a consumer became less risk averse in spending this gain. This had caused further rise in the house prices, which led to a bubble in the house market in 2008. So that one is also a very, very dangerous act. So you can go and read about these three examples from this book in chapter 6 in second edition if you want to learn more. So we can see that now both neoclassical economics and behavioral economics are very good source for our decision, to make a decision. Sometimes we we rely on neoclassical economics for our prediction in the long run. Sometimes we need to rely on behavioral economics to understand the behavior or consumer behavior in order to make our decision.